All right. Hey, Nico. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to get us started
Sure. Thanks for the
recording.
invite, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? I feel like I already talked to you enough during the week with the one-on-one stuff that we do, but it's good to pick your brain here too. Well, welcome everyone to the weekly briefing. It is Nico and me today. We get to have this conversation. Joel was supposed to be here, but it got sick through his worldly travels. So the healthy ones are still here and playing. Nico, thanks for making your time to get here again. I'm going to
No worries.
stop our screen share, focus my screen back onto all the people that are here, and start this conversation off. It
Ooh.
is February 25th. This is Wednesday. We've moved the weekly briefing up a day, and it's kind of funny. I'm not even in the pattern yet of knowing. I don't wake up Wednesday mornings and think, "Oh shoot, I have to do the weekly briefing." So, hopefully this new time works for people. There are some new things that we have coming up for us inside of RevThink, and this allows us to. I'm going to spotlight it here. Allows us at RevThinkers to, by moving the timeline to a Wednesday, allows us to kind of restructure some other material and content we're going to be releasing pretty soon. So, thank you all for joining us. We're talking to Nico today with this concept of what it takes to grow your business. And there's a little bit of a RevThink spin to this, because when often people think about how to grow your business, they want to know the tricks of generating tons of more profit and tons of more clients and ton more team. And my business would grow, it'll be huge, and I'll be famous and everyone will love me, or whatever those promises are. But in reality, Nico, you had a totally different journey through what it means to grow your business, because you are a New York-based studio and you have a Manila-based studio, and you often manage it remotely.
That's correct. So just kind of give a quick history of kind of like how it started. We got started with RevThink doing a what was it, show launcher? Was that the
Oh, show
right? So we
launcher.
did that
That's
first,
right.
show
Yeah.
launcher. So because we wanted to figure out how to create our own shows and how that whole process works. And a lot of it really because we didn't really have anyone to talk to and really ask questions about how is it really done. And when we speak to or ask questions to other producers that we've met throughout the years, it just seemed very vague, and it wasn't really clear about the processes and how do you actually earn money from there. And then from there, I think our furniture got kind of moved around in our brains of how to think. And that wasn't really about business at that point. It was really just how to have conversations, how to present yourself, and then from there we're thinking, okay, I think that sounds really good. And then once that was done, Katu and I, my partner, we were thinking, there's a lot of stuff we don't really know about business because we started this whole thing as artists, and I think. And we had partners before that were in business, and that didn't really work out. And then we figured, hey, let's try them out. Let's see what it's like. So we did a whole, I think it was Revolve. That was the first thing that we did,
Oh, yeah. Revolve.
and that was Revolve was the first one. And then from there, it was a lot of work in terms of understanding. There's a lot of things we didn't know, and even just processes. And from there, it really helped. It was super accelerated. I think it was like 4 weeks. And then from that we tried a lot of the systems and processes, and even again we're currently using our positioning based from what we learned from Revolve. And then but there was still this feeling that, like, are we missing out? It's almost like these guys are talking college. It's like, or people who didn't go to college for art or for design, and they're thinking, should I go back to school? Should I go to school for it? Because I don't know if I'm missing something that
Sure.
you got when you went to school. So that's our feeling, because it was kind of like, it's like I felt like we went to community college but we missed the big university. So
Well,
we did the
yeah.
jump start, you know, from
Wait, so I,
there.
I
And
want to back up.
then
Just back up a second. So to be clear, one is you and I think we've known each other for a couple of years. You're right. I didn't remember all these accelerators you've gone through. You went through the show launcher with me originally, and then you were part of Revolve, which Revolve was more of a response to the pandemic and to help people reset. And then you did your positioning through Jumpstart, right? You did
Yeah.
some positioning
Mhm.
workshop. And what's the big takeaway? Because you said it moves around your intellectual furniture. The way I kind of tell the story is when I was in elementary school, I was accused of cheating because a substitute teacher gave us like a maze, and I started at the end. And I worked my way to the start. It was easier. And then the teacher said I cheated because I went the wrong way. And I thought to myself, I didn't cheat. I just found a better way of doing it. And I was really upset about that. But I think today in business, I have the same sense. Like Show Launcher, we start with the why. Like we start at the end of the equation and move our way to the beginning. And that does kind of make a mental shift of what it really takes to be a leader and put systems in place so that you can grow your business.
And then, after we evolved, Katu and I were really talking. Like we learned a lot of stuff. We're implementing things, but we still felt there was something um, that we didn't know, and we felt it as we were doing all the processes and really going through. Okay, now that we have a new position, what do we do now? And I think what's great about really the accelerators, at least for us, is that we actually finally met people and we had a network which we didn't have any before. I really feel like it's going to college. It's you go there really to get the network and make connections, and then it's a plus that you learn something. So a lot of the stuff that and then after that we figured we'll do the one-on-ones, and then from there that was really great because then that allowed us to take stuff that we've learned and really ask the real questions on the okay, now we know the whys, how exactly can we do this? So this is what we do, this is what we're currently doing, what do you think? And but a lot of times it's not just what do you think, it's more like this is what I want to do, here's my goal, and I'm doing this to try to achieve it. What are your thoughts? Does that seem to work? And you can't do that in the, let's say, in a group setting. So I think the one-on-ones really helped us to get us actually where we are now.
So here's the reason why I thought you'd be a good person to talk to about when it comes to company growth, right? So the thought of how to grow your business has some interesting aspects to what growth means. And again, like I said, we often think of growth as a numbers game. How much more money and more clients and more employees can we have? But I'd say you guys have grown your business, but not necessarily, it's not just you have increased revenue and project size and those quantifiable items. But I'd say that the growth is how you're actually managing your business in a different way. And that's what I want to have people hear about. How to grow your business really comes down to the management formulas you have in place or the business strategy you have in place to get you from point A to point B. So let's talk about what it's been like to manage the Manila office from New York and what it really takes to grow yourself, I guess, grow personally and grow corporately that way.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was before we didn't have anything that kind of showed us a bigger picture, kind of where things were. Yes, we had some basic understanding about cash flow and things like that, but no one really explained us how to read between the lines or how to read it besides the data. So I think the one-on-ones for us really helped in terms of going through these systems and understanding what story it's telling besides the data that's there.
So did you learn, but when you had your first cash flow stuff, we did that during Revolve, right? So we sat down and said, hey, here's a cash flow. Let's take a cash flow. And then if I remember right, you and I had like a sidebar that you, Katu, and I just talked about cash flow. And then there was this recognizing it's not just taking the money and putting it in front of you, but there's all these decision points. And there was something that lit up on you. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we're like, oh, I mean, when we were taught about cash flow, it was just like projections. And then it was like, I'm like, where did I get those numbers? Oh, you just base it on whatever happened last year. And it was, again, I think just, classically it was done monthly. So you see the year, but you see it monthly. So things are happening within that month. And just the fact that you're describing, you can go further in it. And then this is how you read it. And this is how you navigate when you can see in the future, things are going kind of like in the red. What are the things you can do in there to make those changes way, way sooner than like at that moment in like, oh, it's coming up in that month. So it was like a, oh my gosh, duh. So it was, yeah. I think that was one of those things that made us go, oh, that helped a lot. I wish I knew that 10 years ago.
Yeah, what I appreciate about that is, and it's so hard to explain what your, I can almost tell you, like, here's the journey you're about ready to go on. But if you haven't gone on that journey yet, you're thinking, oh yeah, sure, probably not me, is the first thing you think in your mind, because you're like, no, I'm unique like everyone else, so I should have a process different than everyone else. Um, and I know, like, there's a tipping point in learning, no matter what platform you're learning on or who you're talking to. You know, it could be a sidebar conversation with somebody. It could be with a stranger. They can teach you a lesson. But often what happens is it resets your worldview in a way of, oh, now that with that new understanding, I can conceptualize, um, what's in front of me. And then a lot of what we talk in Rev Think is like, well, what if I can get your decisions out in front of you? So you don't have to stress about them, hold them inside, and then guess which one to choose. We can actually strategize. We can build scenarios and put tools in place to help build scenarios. And then you can premeditate your decisions and act on them. So something like the factors report, I know, was really huge because we were able to take where your money went and then think about what were the priorities of the business, and then build a plan really of when revenue comes in, how we're going to spend that money. And that created the initial growth. And then found us really the gap we needed to start doing sales and put a manager in place in Manila.
You know, like the few months that we've been here, we've been again reaching out to like friends and colleagues with other businesses and stuff. And a lot of it is we keep talking about growth. And it's so interesting, the conversations about what does growth mean. And again, for some it's about still about getting more clients and revenue. And I think Katu had a really good like metaphor where before we thought of luxury as like going to the big hotels or like getting a 5-star stuff. And then we just realized luxury is really if we can have someone who can help take care of the baby for us, have we're like in a simple house, but then if someone makes food for us, like we just realized luxury can also change. It's not necessarily this idea of glam. There's so many things. And I think now we're realizing it's about time that we want to get back where I think when we started, we didn't have time for anything. We just worked. And now the luxury is to have time for your personal work, time to be like with your kids, and time to be just to think and see everything in a bigger perspective. So I think our concept of growth has also changed, and we've kind of made that flow with our studio as well, with like our employees, etc. So it's not just about the number of clients or the value or the revenue. Of course, that's part of it because that's going to dictate kind of like how you're going to have that luxury.
Yeah.
But we've rethink that. You like that?
Right. So this is going to sound funny, but I want you to do the big reveal here. I don't want you to bury the lead. But therefore, there was a big policy change you put in place for Rezonate, because time became a priority, and people wouldn't imagine this is growth, but this is a major part of growth and who you are as a business. And that is, why don't you tell us?
Yeah, for the past 3 years, we've implemented a 4-day work week, and also we've added more time off, like especially during the holidays. So we have within the year, the usual default is like 2 weeks. So everyone gets a 3-week long vacation. The office is closed for 3 weeks, which is a challenge with clients and stuff. But it's funny because we just spoke to someone yesterday about it. He's also talking about his growth of his company, and he's been around maybe since like the early 2000s. And it's so interesting. We're having this conversation, and we discussed about growth. And I told him, we had a general's assembly with our team, and I put side by side, this is how we used to work with our 5-day work week and just regular holidays. This is us now. And out of like 365 days, we're working 148 days in a year in actual working days. So I was just letting the people know, just listen, if you feel like, I know it's a bubble, so you can't really see or feel it, but if you look at it, you're only working almost half of the year compared to everyone else.
Right. With 4 days a week.
With 4 days a week, but 40 hours. Though. It's still 40 hours, but it is just 4 days.
Yeah. So it's adding a couple hours to each day. And specifically because you have a 4-day work week structure. So that's how you manage your projects. That's how you deliver projects based on the 4 days a week. It also allows you to function as a business in New York City and Manila because you have this time zone shift that actually advances days or has these weird, like, tomorrow is like, today is tomorrow morning for you right now. That it helps you actually manage your business in a different format. And it kind of all just made sense for you at that point. But it was funny because it was a rule that had to be broken. Wait, we can work 4-day work weeks. And so of course, I could say, well, or if I was another business owner, I could say, yeah, but that doesn't work for me. And I'd give you all the reasons that it wouldn't work. And what you and I did is like, no, those are just all problems you need to solve. This is the entrepreneurial moment. Solve these problems, and that can become true. And there was aspects of management and resources and whatever need to be worked out. But overall, you'd say your business is growing and people are thriving more because of those decisions. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. But that conversation happens a lot lately with us about, we keep hearing, well, that's good for some, if it works, it works. There's a lot of that conversations lately. But yeah, you're right. I mean, for us, it was a challenge. We didn't know if we could do it, but we're like, but this is what we want. We want to be able to have that time, and we want people to be able to manage and really have a real weekend. So that was like the goal. And we're like, okay, let's figure out how to get that to work.
Yeah, it's so great. The other thing I think that I like for people to hear is that often we talk about the seasons of a creative firm, and the words we use is getting yourself to a self-managed business. And we don't mean necessarily delegate or abdicate. What we mean is there are ingredients of your business that you can put systems and routines into place, and then you understand specifically how it works. Therefore, you can let go and let a manager run that. And I think in the idea of the production ingredient, so the production roll up and how all that system and routine works, when it comes to cash flow and how that stuff's working, the factors method, we have all that working for you for Manila and New York. So we can kind of see the roadmap for the year. And then specifically, and then sales and those areas, you've actually built up your team in that way and are managing it through those systems and routines. That is a moment of growth and maturity for you too, because now you can almost understand how scale would work, because Nico doesn't have to micromanage people from a distance. There's that opportunity. Explain why you think that works so well. I mean, I'll say, I feel like you owned it. The minute I told you how it worked, you just bought it and you owned it. You even rebuilt some of these spreadsheets so it better matched your own mindset. But what's actually happening internally that helps people get to that self-managed goal?
Honestly, I think it's having, one is we had to figure that out, and having to accept the changes that's going to happen in terms of whether, okay, I need to step down a little bit as a creative or the one who manages the machine, do the animation, and really focus more on being an owner. And then I think it's leading by example, because once they see that one person able and at the top tier being able to do it, it's someone that you can follow, and then they can see, okay, if he's able to do it or she's able to do it, then I should be able to do it as well. What are they doing for that to happen? So I think a lot of it is being able to be that, that example, and then others will follow, and they'll be confident to be able to do it. Like you can't just tell someone, like, just give it to them, like, okay, it doesn't, we've experienced that, it doesn't quite work. Let's get a project manager. Okay, you just do it. But if you create your own systems, or you take the systems like templates or whatever it is that you've learned in different places, you have to find and make it your own. And I think for us, a lot of it is when we decide on what is our goal, what's the growth that we want to have, how can we adjust these systems and processes to make it work for that? And I think that's what it was. We took these templates and we shifted things around to make it work within our structure that we wanted to happen.
Yeah, I want to say
they're just templates,
I remember specifically using the factors method, and then from that finding the splits, the direct and indirect splits for the business, and then sitting down with Eds in Manila and then talking to her really about how the funds will flow, how a portion of it is kept for indirect and what portion's available for direct. And therefore, when managing projects, she would have the confidence, like you would have, that if people are staying within that direct allocation for their production budgets, the corporation would thrive because the indirect items are covered. And that tipping point for her, it almost synchronized you as a business owner and her as a business manager to speak the same language and then start managing those decisions. It was like the decisions became very obvious of how we're going to make them, how we're going to allocate things, how to measure the results to it. And then there was a little bit of fine tuning with people's rates and hours that we had to get to make it all work out. There was even an anomaly, I want to say, of people that were not putting their hour. There was something happening where people were gamifying the system or tricking the system somehow, that we had to put like, no, just tell us the honest truth. You no longer have to hide and make things look good. We actually want to see the reality of what's happening so we can manage it for real.
Yeah, that was another thing too. There was a fear for some people, like either with the hours that they're putting in. It's like, we don't care. We're not managing you to see if you're working. That's not what we're doing, and it took a bit for them to understand that we're trying to manage funnel money. We're trying to understand how to move those around. We're not trying to figure out if you're working. We could tell if you're not working. That's not going to help us to see that, So, but the factor, I just want to say the factors method for us was a really big shift in terms of how we're seeing things and being able to let go. I explained this to someone 2 days ago about it. And I said, once I understood it, what I really liked about it is when I started, I always worried about the expenses I have to pay within the next month or et cetera, et cetera. And so my brain is focusing on what I'm going to lose. Where now, when I have everything kind of laid out for the future and everything is kind of plotted, all I'm thinking about is how can I get that revenue? So I'm just thinking about how to build those relationships, how to get these new projects, as opposed to how can I pay that expense? Can I pay my electricity bill? Now my mindset is like, all those already paid. I just have to get the funds. So that was a big shift.
Yeah, it's skipping from that scarcity mentality of this is the only money I'm ever going to have. And so every dollar I spend is removing from the finite bucket that I know of, to the abundance mentality that says, no, if I apply my skills in the right area, I can find the revenue to meet the need, as well as I can adjust the needs to match the revenue. I can ebb and flow and make decisions within it. So now I have a lot of power to be responsive to what's in front of me, not be scared, but just respond to it, as well as look at a revenue target, and then we build a sales strategy to generate that revenue. And I want to say specifically, you even moved your minimum engagement level up. You've totally changed the game of minimum engagement level because you realized if you can control the money that you ask for initially from clients, and you understand what the value proposition is, then restructuring the deals inside to make the direct and indirect splits work so much easier.
It's a whole domino effect of like, once you do one thing, you realize all the other things also have to shift for that to happen. So you really have to kind of look at stuff you were doing before and really take things that are working and just throw away things that were not working, that you felt were like just part of the system. You could adjust it to make your own. So
I feel like you just fed me like the best line for something I wanted to tell people too. In our next accelerator engagements that we're creating in early March, we're going to do accelerators like we usually do. So jumpstart, the factors method. We're doing a positioning accelerator, and then we're going to rebuild Revolve again and have it be about the current times issues that are taking place and how to think through them. But what we're changing about the accelerator engagement is that we're adding one-on-ones with it. When we used to do, you could choose. We left it up to people. Hey, you can take the class, you can do one-on-one, or you can do a combined. But what you just said is exactly why we're changing it. Is I find that we can teach the concept, but it's not until you have that engagement with your own real life data that the transition really takes place. And because the domino effect is happening, the one-on-one coaching allows you to say, yeah, but Tim, if I do this, then I need to change rates. And then I'm looking at utilization, and we can process all the way down that thought chain with you. that if you just learn that one piece and then you start and the next domino falls, you can get very, you know, upset at that or concerned or whatever the next negative emotion is. So that restructuring is exactly why we're doing that, is because we're saying, oh wait, we have to give people information and then coach them through it, because we're all going to have different experiences of which domino is going to fall at different times.
Which has happened, you know, when we went through it. So, but also I think what helps with us is that in those engagements, we were able to, it's one thing talking theory when you say, oh, we just do this or we could do that. But when you actually do it, then you feel the little domino effect of it. Of, oh no, but then when we did that, this happened. And it was just nice to really just have someone to be able to go, okay, can you walk me through this? Can you walk with me as I go through this, as opposed to kind of doing it alone? You know, so it's not really like with me too, then it will be like the blind leading the blind. At least there's someone there, because like here's a flashlight. You know.
Right. And like, I feel like I know the pattern now. Like I can tell you what's coming next because I've done it often enough. There's another moment too when you're engaging something new, especially because we're putting systems in place that make you proactive, where most people are currently dealing with systems that are reactive. So I could look at last year's P&L and analyze it, but I'm really not making any decisions about it. I'm analyzing it, hoping that I'm smarter next year, right? That's the only way you can do it. Or I can flip it to a factors method and look forward, to proactively look forward and then premeditate all the decisions I'm going to make. In that moment, when you're going from reactive to proactive, you actually have to run both systems, especially in the production model. I have to keep up the current system, and then I have to put a new system in place. And sometimes running both of those for those 2 or 3 weeks can be very hectic. So I think the one-on-one time I often feel like in transition is just telling people, we'll get there, keep on moving, keep on processing, and then it tips over and it's smooth sailing. So I know that you and I have done so many breakout sessions. So we'll do our regular meetings, and then you're like, hey, Tim, I just need and then I jump on a call and we just process whatever we're talking, whatever conversation you just got through with somebody, to see if we can't break through whatever the misunderstanding is. Well, hopefully people can hear it, but I truly have loved for the last couple of years working with you on and off. There was moments where we were off and then back on now to kind of do the next big phase of you guys' business and life.
Mm-hmm.
But as we kind of built these things in place, I think that you're a good example of just someone that understands the education part of it. So you've taken the accelerators and you got the big picture part, but also really taken advantage of the one-on-one time. I wish everyone took advantage of the one-on-one engagements the way you've been able to do it for the last couple of years, because I've seen some amazing effects. So congratulations to you on that too, by the way.
Oh, no, thank you. It's again, it's funny. I can't see anything. I can't see how I was thinking before 2020. It's like, how was I thinking that way? But no, it's good. It's good. Things. It's like I saw the Matrix. I see.
That's because you didn't have a kid before 2020. Once you have children in your life, it changes too.
Timing is good. The timing is good. So yeah.
I love it. I love your family. I love how it's growing. You're super amazing. And thanks for the encouragement. Can I just say this to everyone listening? If you're not on Rev Community, can you please jump on Rev Community right now and just give Nico a thank you? Because he doesn't just run his own business and do this conversation, but he's actively involved in Rev Community. And I know you even do some mentoring. People ask you direct questions and you take it offline and keep on sharing. So thanks for the role you're playing there, just being an encouragement and advisor and friend to people in the community as well. You're awesome.
And same with everyone here. I mean, there's a bunch of people here that are listening that also I feel have done the same thing like for us. Like whether it's like Andrew or Jeremy, like talking to these guys have been great, and just being able to be open and share has been amazing. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, shout out to the whole community. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I'll say it every week. It's truly, I come to work every day because it is great to work in this industry and help people thrive in business, life, career. It's our calling. So Nico, you're amazing. I appreciate you waking up early this morning. Now go and take a nap or drink coffee or whatever you need to keep the day going.
No, this is good. I have an early start because we booked up so many meetings today. So this is
Oh,
good.
that's awesome. Well, blessings to you guys, and give my love to Katu, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.